and welcome to Talking Bottom on the Young Ones. I'm Matt Brooks.
I'm Ange Pearson.
And I'm Paul Tanter.
And joining us today to go over the fabled kind of missing third series of the Young Ones, which was in book form. They wrote a book just like us, but did it better and sold way more copies.
And it's a lot fucking funnier.
Yeah. The Bachelor Boys, written by Ben Elton, Rick Mao, Lisa Myatt.
No, it's not written by Ben Elton. It's written by Rick, Viv, Mike and Neil. I absolutely love that opening visual gag. They've scribbled out their names.
It's one of those books that were very popular in the 90s, 2000s sort of thing, but this is 89 this came out?
No. 84.
Yeah.
84.
In fact, I was listening to the very good interview that Jeffers from podcast Flappo did with Terence Blacker. And when he spoke to Terence, who's the editor of this book, by the way, to anyone who doesn't know, he questioned whether it was 84. He said this was a Christmas book and he thinks it came out in 83.
Okay.
So he was like, I would question that it was 84 when this came out.
But the copyright on all the books says 84.
I know, but it says 1st of January 1984 on it. But he was like, it was a big Christmas release.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's in his memory. But anyway, it was either 83 or 84 in between the two series, right? Or
no, this is
coinciding with
this
after.
This came out. This is after series 2. This isn't.
So, well, there you go. Then it's
Yeah.
Christmas 84
Yeah.
then. So what people have got it wrong and they put January 85 is what it should be.
Okay.
That must be what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's
There'll
one
be
of
a
those.
reprint that happened in the January because of the demand after Christmas.
Right, something I'd like to share with you guys. It's a kind of a review of the Young Ones, maybe a retrospective, something written in 1985 by a then up-and-coming journalist for that esteemed organ, the Financial Times, which of course regularly reviews things. This piece is called The Lure of Surreal Squalor. Nearly 5 million people are staying in on Monday evenings to watch Rick, Vivian, Neil and Mike talk about botty belchers and call each other commie bastards. The Young Ones is being repeated on BBC Two, not Channel 4 as you might expect, and barring freak snooker finals, is getting the highest rating of any programme on an outlet more actually renowned for documentaries, wildlife films, and efforts of a more sober nature. A comedy show about an unpleasant group of students living in surreal squalor obviously is likely to appeal to students, but its attraction has been much greater than a college cult show. This must be partly because the kids, as Rick would refer to them, cannot quite believe that anyone actually has been permitted to break wind on BBC Two and anxiously switch on to see what else gets through. Yet more and more older young ones seem to be enjoying the series this time round, and a staggering 800,000 people forked out for a copy of the spin-off book. With this sort of success, the show is almost heading into the mainstream. Not quite though. There are still plenty of people who are delighted that no more episodes of The Young Ones are to be made. They never found reference to Felicity Kendall's knickers acceptable, nor did they find remotely funny the idea, say, of an animated sock escaping from a fetid laundry bag and having to be executed. I always did, and I think that the decision of the BBC to put on the series was an enlightened move rather than the end of civilization as we know it. Critics of the programme, like much critics of humour, made much use of adjectives like juvenile and puerile and childish. It is all of these things, of course, but how exactly does adult humour work? If so much humour is to be dismissed as fourth form or fifth form or sixth form or undergraduate, then we are to be only left with some sort of mature humour. I have visions of old men in leather chairs smiling wryly at Victorian editions of Punch. It is not, however, only the outrage, the feeling of watching a comedy video nasty that is so entertaining about The Young Ones. That does not really do justice to the fact that, although it is a bizarre situation comedy, it works through the strengths of the characters. The plots include unexploded nuclear devices appearing in the kitchen, devils dropping in from hell for the day, or the students appearing on University Challenge. Odd interludes featuring vegetables talking, washing machines refusing to wash laundry, or giant cream buns descending. The main interest and the compelling comedy lie in how the students react both to these things and to each other. With the possible exception of the smoothie character, Mike, The Young Ones' characterization is superb. The average sitcom might have come up with a punk and a hippie, but no one would have come up with Rick, the Cliff Richard, fan cum anarchist cum poet cum poseur. On closer acquaintance, both the punk and the hippie are so extreme as to be in fact completely individual. Sitcom punks usually have green hair and say, "Hello, Mum," at the breakfast table, whereas Vivian, the punk in The Young Ones, sets fire to mattresses, cuts off his fingers, gets decapitated in a train, and then kicks his own head along the tracks. Neil is not only a peaceful hippie, but he is a terminally depressed one. Added to this, he is incompetent and feeble. These two react to the self-obsessed Rick with an absurd yet convincing logic. Neil is a hippie and should therefore do all the work in the house, from answering the phone to cooking the supper. He fails to do this and is abused by the others, particularly Rick. Meanwhile, Rick gets carried away with his own voice, talking about Thatcher or fascism or the kids, and can be distracted only by extreme violence from Vivian. These characters are, however, anally fixated and foul, difficult to defend against people who do not appreciate foul-mouthed, anally fixated comedy. I can only plead that The Young Ones is different from other sitcoms. It's funny.
Oh, well, that's quite a powerful end line, isn't it? And
So
well, I
should
mean,
we
you're
have
going to
a,
reveal who it is? Or
would you want to have a
because-
guess first? I mean, with Play Dumb, we both know who it is.
Yeah, so
but
listeners, can you guess who it is?
It was from a young up-and-coming journalist who, at the time, I think had a full head of hair, and is still writing now, and has risen to a position of power within journalism, and is on our screens every week.
Piers Morgan.
Ian Hislop wrote that.
Yeah. Was he ever young? Was he ever young?
Was he young?
When did Private Eye start?
Private Eye started in the 60s with Peter Cook, launched it, and
Yeah,
I think he was
and then
editing it as
Ian
well.
took over, didn't
And then
he?
he got
So,
Ian
okay.
Hislop in, I think, at the tail end of the 70s as editor. Like Ian Hislop was just out of university, but like had a meeting with Peter Cook and impressed him a lot.
Yeah, so he knows his onions when it comes to
Yeah.
comedy. So that is quite a sort of fair, but like, it's well balanced, isn't it? In its kind of like compliment. But
Yeah.
also
Yeah, it's
sort
not
of saying,
gushing, but it's
but it is like if you're obsessed with rude words and fart jokes and bum humour, then you'll love it, basically.
I feel like
Which is a little bit damning, but
he's given it a level of thought that the essay that Lisa, Rick, and Ben had to give it a level of thought that you don't see in most actual TV reviews. A lot of the TV reviews we've read for The Young Ones don't give it that level of consideration.
well, of course, they're usually week on week, aren't they? The previous ones that we've read out, they were sort of going out. This was after that it had been repeated, and he's obviously been told, "Young One seems pretty popular still. Why don't you do a?
So
why don't
what
you do
is
a
this
piece on
to
it?"
sell or advertise, whatever, while it's coming out again?
It's literally just that it's back on telly on BBC Two, right? It's being repeated.
It's being repeated, and it's getting the highest viewing figures for the channel. So that's a vindication of the show. It went out once in 82, went out once in 84. It's being repeated. It's doing brilliant numbers on TV. They released a book. It sold 800,000 units, which is good for books at any time.
Absolutely shows how popular the book was. So obviously that was probably why they thought, well, let's repeat The Young Ones.
How many units has Talking Bottom done?
Not that many, but a respectable amount for this day and age in the waning print press era.
Okay.
There's another bit here from 1985 from someone talking about The Young Ones being repeated, and it's quite negative. It's from The Express. Did one of you guys want to read this?
Alrighty. This is from The Express, 21st of March, 1985. The headline, "Only Cretins Worship This Cult." Under the caption under a picture of of our favourite characters is "The Young Ones, ... Where's the humour?"
Fucking
Okay.
hell.
So, it's definitely not going to be positive.
Already I can tell the writer is someone who puts the word, if there's a comic they don't like, then they'll call them a so-called, and then they'll put the word comedian in inverted commas.
I mean, you've got to remember this is The Express, so they're writing for their audience, aren't they? Okay, so the writer isn't named in this, so okay, I'll begin. Here we go again. The BBC is giving us another chance to see a cult show. Cult is in inverted commas.
Hey, there you go.
They say. This time, it is The Young Ones, a show so bereft of humour that it is difficult to imagine it being put on in a damp church hall in the back of beyond on a wet Sunday night anywhere. How the masterminds of the BBC decided that it was worth repeating 12 episodes of this junk makes the mind reel. They call it a cult show to try and baffle us into believing that there is something in it we must be missing. It is a kind of intellectual blackmail. People use it in pubs to try and outsmart other people they are trying to put down. Imagine the conversation. "I suppose you are watching that cult show, The Young Ones, then?" says the big burly chap to the little weedy person. No," says the little weedy person. "Here, lads," bellows the big chap to everyone in earshot. "Weedy is missing out on the cult show, The Young Ones. What a cretin."
Oh, the writer's been bullied in a pub by someone.
Maybe. It certainly seems that way. It's Ben Elton. No. So let us, with Weedy, examine the cult he is missing. The Young Ones is about 4 students who live in a pigsty slum. One shouts a lot and bangs his head against the wall. Another sits on a toilet with cistern water pouring over his head. Another one also shouts a lot. And the fourth doesn't do anything very much. So he's watched the first episode.
So that's Mike, the fourth one.
Yeah. He's watched the first episode, hasn't he?
Also, I should just say that I feel like the word pigsty is redundant if you then follow it with slum. I mean, I would imagine most slums that you'd think of as pigsties.
Well, yeah, he's got a word count to get to, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the final two parts. The attentive viewer, anxious like Weedy to learn the secrets of this cult, will wait in vain for enlightenment. It is totally lacking in inspiration or wit. Not so much a cult, more a con.
I thought he was going to say cunt.
Well, you can't type that even in the Express.
The one bit of credit I'll give the writer is it takes a brave man, and I'll assume it's a man, to write that when, if we counter that with the Ian Hislop article, we know that the repeats of the young ones are the highest, getting the highest ratings on BBC Two, and the books just sold gangbusters. To still go out there and go, no, I'm right, it's terrible.
And
That's for some reason it's been repeated. Like, well, the numbers.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, the Financial Times is the audience that Ian Hislop was writing for, so it doesn't even really hold up that you're thinking, oh, there's a load of intellectuals reading this paper, so we're going to slate it. That you might expect that from the Financial Times more so than the Express. I think you're right. I think he's had that said to him in the pub, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, you must be watching The Young Ones. It's the best cult show ever, and he's felt stupid.
A hypothetical scenario. Someone punches an Express journalist in the face and then steals his dinner money, and then he goes home and finds his wife in bed with the milkman. I was horrified. It wasn't me.
In bed with the head of light entertainment at the BBC.
with Jim Moyer. Yeah.
Well, anyway, that is obviously damning and we don't agree with it, but I guess it stirred up emotion. It stirred up conversation in the pub. It stirred up people having to have an opinion on it. That's what you take from that, isn't it? And it is, in Ian Hislop's review, it is interesting that he's saying you wouldn't expect to see this kind of show on BBC Two, because usually at that point, I imagine in the 80s, it was all documentaries and things that were a little bit more highbrow on BBC Two. Now it's all 4, isn't it? Like they've moved it into like no one really watches it apart from its repeats of stuff.
These two articles to me really show the two polarizing viewpoints that we hear when people like Greg Davis talks about the parents didn't like it, it wasn't for them, it was for us, we loved it, the kids got it. Ian Hislop at this point in his life was the voice of the kids here.
He's recognising the humour in it, isn't he? He's seeing that it's popular and why? Because it is funny.
Youthful heartthrob voice of the kids, Ian Hislop.
Yeah.
You've got to respect his opinion there, I think.
Yeah.
I think he ends with like, it's funny as opposed to most of the sitcoms, which is high praise.
It's good that he's sort of, he is sort of slightly comparing it to the old guard of comedy, isn't he? He mentions seeing like guys in dusty Victorian chairs,
It's highly complimentary.
I like
Rick,
mentioning Punch as well is nice. I like Punch.
Well, he's kind of juxtaposing it, isn't he, with the idea of like, well, what is adult humour? It was all musing over our moustaches about, comical.
Little there's been plenty of silly humour throughout all of history.
The thing is, I would argue that, of course, there is swearing and there are rude bits and all of that, and that does make you laugh. But the silliness and the rudery is something that is funny to children and remains funny throughout your life, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Your humour is shaped when you're a child. I don't think it's that much of an insult to say you have a childish sense of humour.
Yeah, Aid says something similar, didn't he?
You grow and you mature and you actually start finding more, cerebral, political commentary funny as well, don't you, rather than fart gags. But that is what was brilliant about The Young Ones, and in its turn bottom, for me, is that it's got the political bite, but actually it's all surrounded by a load of stupidness, trying to chat up birds and toilet humour and slapstick and all of the other joyful things you find innately funny. Like, you can't help but laugh.
Don't you think that all of that stuff just spouted, just the words itself, wouldn't be anywhere near as good if it wasn't for the characters? It is a character piece.
Yeah.
Very much so, The Young Ones. And
I'm glad you said that, because you saying that made me think instantly of, you can take elements of things that people do in The Young Ones and put them into a different setting, like the American Pilot, Oh No, Not Them, and they just don't work because it's not the right characters. It's, it's not the same writing.
The same way as some jokes that land better in season 4 of Friends or something, where like, oh, that's typical Joey, but it's not that good a joke, but because the characters and stuff, sometimes they work better. A shitty look from Rick gets a laugh.
Yeah, once you've established the attitude and everything, then even, as you say, a raised eyebrow, all that kind of stuff is nuanced. But if you know the character, you're going to find it funny.
One of the things I love about the book is that sometimes you need clarification, but often you can tell who's talking. The voices
the
are
voices
quite
are all there.
distinct. There was a slew of these kind of books in the 90s, 80s. Adrian Emerson did a great one, How to Be a Complete Bastard, as well.
Yes, I think that the other young ones saw the sales figures from the Bachelor Boys book and went, I want to do that too.
Well, this is the thing, because Neil's Book of the Dead, that he also co-wrote with Terence Blacker, right? This obviously Bachelor Boys came first, but this says it came out in April of '84.
Well,
so how quickly can they have put this together? This must have been.
So I've got Neil's Book of the Dead here, copyright 1984, first published 84, second impression. So it must have been early 84 because it says second impression, April 84, third May, and it goes all the way up to seventh impression in December.
I think it's 83. It's got to be.
Neil's Book of the Dead, the thickest of all the books, probably the lowest quality of paper, but similar to Bachelor Boys, it's got a lot of writing, a lot of pictures, drawings, that sort of thing. And then Adrian Emerson, greedy, has two. He's got How to Be a Complete Bastard, which of course also had things like a spin-off board game and I think a computer game, a Sinclair ZX Spectrum computer game. But he's I've got these here. So How to Be a Complete Bastard, first published in Great Britain in 1986 by Virgin Books, and The Complete Bastard's Book of the Worst, published in 1988. So this was a bit later.
I own both those, but I've only read the first one. My mate found that How to Be a Complete Bastard at a car boot sale. And was like, wow, what's this? And that we read it together, and then he sold it to me.
Eventually, after the boot sale.
After years of it, and me every time I went round, can I look at it again? He's like, oh yeah. Well,
I remember coming across it and finding it. I found it in a charity shop. I remember being like, oh, amazing. And then wasn't there a board game? Did you just say that?
There is a board game. I've got it.
How to Be a Complete Bastard. Yeah, I've got it in a box somewhere.
Like a corresponding, great merchandising.
Yeah. League of Gentlemen, Harry Hill, others have done these kind of books as well to moderate success.
Well, the League of Gentlemen's book is much more of a deep dive into like the process and the scripts and loads of photos from shooting.
Yeah, that was more a sort of look at the show rather than a spin-off with material that we couldn't use in the show.
Well,
there are extra tidbits in it.
Men Behaving Badly had a very good spin-off book that was in keeping with the spirit of the show.
Pre-internet fans obviously wanted to absorb all of the characters they loved, and like putting a book out was the best way in which to do that.
And
reach your audience.
Basically have kind of referred to it as the unofficial third series of the Young Ones. It's all of the material that's kind of, there's no plot in any of it really. It's just bits and pieces from all of them. It's too much to go through every bit of this.
They must have been writing it at the very least in 1983 though, mustn't they? So it must have been off the back of the Young Ones' first series success that I think it was, Terence says when he was talking to Jeffers, that, he wanted to do this. He was a kind of comedy book editor. He was freelance, and he actually had said, I'd love to do this with the Young Ones. And they were like, oh, actually, we're planning on writing a book. And oh, great. The one thing we don't know how to do is to put it together. So that's how that partnership happened.
I would imagine what made this probably quicker than most books to turn around is that it's not a from beginning to end narrative book that requires like you to sit down and do a plot and blah, blah, blah. What it is each, it's like individual little sketches and ideas and things.
And it is fantastic. And it's in that way. Apparently, Ben Elton was prolific as usual, came up with way too much in terms of ideas that you could fit in.
So what this book is an opportunity for is for Ben mainly, but also for Lisa and Rick, is to anything you've got an idea for that didn't go in the show, see if you can develop it into like a 1 or 2 pager here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we can include drawings or pictures or that sort of thing. Hey, if you want to do a thing where Neil thinks he's having a conversation with David Bowie and he's stood at the back of Wembley Stadium, we can put that in here. If you want to do a thing where the entire joke is that the story that Rick has written is on university toilet paper and that Neil needs that paper because he's got dysentery, we can put that in. We can put that here.
It's so rich in terms of its ideas, and I don't think Ben did more than the work. I think they were obviously it's a joint credit, isn't it, for all of them? And I think Terence says he had a couple of ideas that he threw in, but they have sat and they have thought about each and every character, as you said, Matt, when we were reading out that newspaper piece. the voices are all there, aren't they? And within like a sentence or two, like, or even within the first couple of words, once you've got through the book, you know exactly which voice you're hearing from, don't you?
On the same subject as that, they've got their individual handwriting as well. At some points, it's like they're editing the book as they go in live.
Brilliant graffitiing. It's there on that opening page.
The 10 Commandments from Neil, number 9 and 10, get covered up by some of the Vivian puts. So I quite like.
Do you know what I realised rereading this, right? And also, so we've got another episode coming up where we'll talk about the comic relief singles, Living Doll, that kind of thing. It came back to me, and I realised that because of the time in which we were born, I didn't watch Young Ones when it went out first in 82 and 84 because I would have been 2 and 4. I think the Bachelor Boys book, which we had in our house all through the 80s, and the Young Ones hit single Living Doll with Cliff Richard, was my first proper exposure to the Young Ones, because I would sit and read this book and go through it and find bits funny. That there would be bits about, I don't know who Trotsky is, that I don't quite get that, but oh look, here's a picture of Neil with a speech bubble above his head that says I am a turd. As like a 6, 7, 8-year-old, that made me howl. And like this and the Living Doll single with Rick, you know, like doing funny voices and things like that, those more than when I then got reacquainted with the Young Ones when it was on UK Gold in the 90s, this was my proper introduction to the Young Ones, I think.
Oh, okay. Really? Well, that's great, because I think I would agree about the comic relief single. I think then with Cliff Richard and Living Doll is probably where I would have, you know, osmosed that the Young Ones, and I hadn't seen the Young Ones yet. And I bought this book off eBay, probably around the time I would have bought, you know, obviously hoovering up any Rick and Aid stuff, like early, I don't know, in my early 20s, maybe even. So I definitely came to this book late, same as I did the Young Ones, really.
I came to it way late. Late. For some reason, I was a fan of a lot of these other
hadn't learned to
books,
read yet, or
How to Be a Complete Bastard and stuff like that. But I was aware of this book, but it's before eBay and stuff. When we was younger, they were hard to find, and for whatever reason, it kind of passed me by. And I feel like reading it for this podcast, selfishly, I think like, where was this book when I was younger? It was there. It was there. It's just my own fault. And it's like, this is exactly the kind of thing I would have fucking loved to pieces and read 100 times.
Do you know what shines out of this book for me? There are obviously very funny little skits, and obviously it's all their characters and they're arguing over the pages and all that, you know, telling each other they're boring and to shut up and all of that. But there are some little bits within this book, and we portioned it out into sort of 3 equal-ish portions for us to all to pick out our highlights. But there are moments within this book where actually it's almost kind of like quite nice advice for a young teenager or whatever. It's like about adolescent depression is one, isn't it? And it's kind of Neil talking about how
I've only been depressed twice.
Yes, exactly. And it's basically from the age of 12, that's when it first hit. And then he was happy for 8 minutes. And then it's because he realised he'd actually been duped about drugs and all of that. But there's some nice little bits in there where it's like, you know, don't cut your ear off like Van Gogh. Don't let depression get to you. It's just part of growing up. There's that line in there where it's like, depression is just part of growing up. And it's tagged in with a joke about like waving your willies around or having willy battles in the showers. But there are little bits within here that are actually, you know, quite kind of nice advice if you were a teenager reading this kind of stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, like it's not in any way playing to do that, but there are just little moments within it where you think, oh, actually, like that's them saying, oh, it's normal to feel that way, or like all those kind of things in the different characters' voices. And it's just actually, you know, if I'd picked this up as a teenager, it would have made me howl, it would have made me laugh. But actually, like, you know, it would have been a nice little thing to be like, oh, right, okay, they get me. That's what it is. Like, it's so good, isn't it, in terms of like these characters are exactly what teenagers are going to engage with. And it's very rude.
Yeah,
there is loads of swearing.
They say the F word, which is fuck, a bunch of times.
Yeah,
which none in the Young Ones.
Exactly,
ever.
It's more naughty in that respect.
And also
isn't it?
Neil, it's alluded to that Neil's a stoner, but never really specifically stated in the show. In this, it is said a few times.
I mean, it's a dream idea, isn't it? Like, you've established these incredible characters for a sitcom, and then you're able to, as you say, just think up silly little bits and sketches that are going to play on the page rather than be spoken aloud and have to be performed. And it's a gift, isn't it? And it's how prolific. I mean, obviously, Ben, Lisa, and Rick's brains were in coming up with more and more stuff that was like richly developing little ideas from the show, like the laundrette. You know, just the laundrette. It's like, you know, how to survive going to the laundrette. set, and they've used every single inch of what's already been talked about on the show.
Yeah, there's two things I think that are really to the credit for this book. When there's a book, people will sometimes cynically say, cash-in spin-off thing. And sometimes the temptation can be, we'll just bring in some ghostwriters to write it and toss it up quick. Two things. Firstly, the three writers of the show wrote this book. Secondly, they took the time and the effort to have the actors pose for so many pictures for the book. So it's not just, we got a picture of them on the front and the rest of it's text and
a small niggle with that is that it's not the right house. You can see only small niggle with it, but they're all in costume and they all look right. They're not too old. It's good.
Apparently, again, according to Terence, who is the editor, so I do believe him, the photos, they were done by Sheila Rock, who is actually a world-famous photographer. She's American. She'd done lots of punk rock shoots and all that. So perfect choice for this, right? And it was all done in one day.
He
said.
Okay.
They were all done on the same day, so you can forgive them not being in the correct locations, right?
I'm holding up a particular picture here that I wish I could get hold of an original so I could then actually get it blown up, put on my wall. It's Vivian grabbing Rick's bollocks and Rick doing such a pained expression where his tongue and his eyes are protruding from his face.
It's like he's about to vom, isn't it?
Amazing.
It is brilliant. Absolutely. I mean, and obviously the fact that was done in a day obviously showed, again, Terence was like, we didn't worry because they were all professionals and they all came and did exactly what they needed to do. Yeah. But the amount of time that must have taken to set up, it was obviously little comic strip bits in here, isn't there? With them around the table. Mike's Kama Sutra.
There's so many bits that are like, hey, we're going to do like a sort of 6-panel comic strip, with speech bubbles. Mike's Kama Sutra. And talk about things like jokes that you don't get at the time. So as a kid, I'm like looking at this and it's a bit naughty. Number 6, the Yosser, in brackets, gives a blowjob. Now I've seen Boys from the Black Stuff and I'm familiar with Yosser Hughes. I get that joke.
Gives a job, gives a blowjob. Nice. It's, I mean, it's very rich. And like, that's what I'm saying. It's like they've taken the characters and then they've been able to grow and expand the world even. Just like that, getting into their inner voice. It's almost like when you've got Peep Show and you've got Mark and Jeremy's inner thoughts, haven't you? Like it's adding a layer.
So
you're getting into Rick's head in so much of this.
Exactly. Is the voices come like we already know them, so therefore we recognise the voice. Paul, you said this was an early introduction of the young ones to you. So how did that play for you if you don't really know who the young ones are yet?
When you then watch the young ones, do you think you
how did
knew
that
them
work
better?
for you as a kid?
Do you know what I did? I thought that Rick was a sort of weird, perverted character. That Vivian, the thing that always struck with me with Vivian was the lager and curry. They seem to sort of emphasise that here.
Yeah.
Mainly the lager and curry diet. I like the way you lose weight is by you have a lot of lager and curry.
Yeah.
And then you go to
Or
bed.
have you taken that advice throughout your life?
Like one tries,
He does mention curry a couple of times in the young ones, but not all the time. It's not like it sounds like Dave Lister a bit in some of the lager and curry stuff.
I got the impression from the book that Mike was more of an equal partner in the young ones than he actually seems in the show.
Sure.
Because he gets so many bits and but all of his bits always seem to be centered around attracting women. He gets the Kama Sutra and that
it's
kind of
great
thing.
that he's meant to have slept with Diana, isn't it? And that he's claiming to be Prince William. Is it Prince William? Yeah, Prince William's dad.
Yeah.
Who's a little baby in the picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of the way time works.
Yeah.
Also, they play around with the conventions of books in general and stuff, like the forewords right at the beginning. Start going through it now by Prince Charles, not Vivian. Definitely not Vivian.
Oh, it's
this
definitely
isn't
not
Vivian.
No.
It's like written over it in like. So it's Lisa, Ben, and Rick writing as Adrian Edmondson's character, writing as Prince Charles. Yeah. See the amount of work going into that, but you can hear Vivian's voice, a violent, coded Prince Charles with some of these little like casual swear words and things.
Well, I love the intro. I mean, just as I know, like we're taking it in turns, but I love the simplicity of the intro pages. Even there's just this wonderful, obviously the Prince Charles's letter, and then you've got Mike obviously dedicating it to Darling Di, a real princess, and then the brilliant pun of forward, an apology by Rick, who's obviously saying sorry for any sexist, racist, politically unsound material. It was all written by Vivian, Mike, and Neil, not me, kind of thing.
Apart from the good bits that were by me.
Yeah, exactly. It's just again singing Rick's voice, and then just brilliant the pun of 4 words, which is now obviously the number 4, an apology by Neil. I'm really, really sorry.
So right,
great
talking point then. Why open with a royal? I think it's kind of to satirise the punk ethos that they are encapsulating.
Beyond it being the Queen, it is absolutely having a go at the establishment, isn't it? Like in a fun way. It's in that way that Spitting Image and all of the satire, that you loved. does.
Who is the last person who would endorse a book from the young ones, the royal family? So let's get Prince Charles. Yeah.
Well, and who would Viv want to
yeah,
pretend to be?
Yeah, and the fact that in the reality of this, he didn't, and it's forgery.
It's worth like obviously we're not going to quote every line, but the first line from Prince Charles's introduction, which is, "Hello, I'm the Prince of Wales, and anyone who says I'm not is a liar."
Yeah,
is brilliant.
Yeah, that sets the tone excellently.
And the scrawl of the signature with a little crown on top of Prince. Like, it's just so detailed. And they've like scribbled out fucking, haven't they? So that it's just on the right amount but for the Prince to be saying. Like, it's just fucking great. Like, all of it. We could sit here and read it out, dear reader, but that wouldn't be great. If someone out there listening hasn't got this book, like they are, I mean, God, there were 700,000 made. Like they are in charity shops. They are on eBay.
You could pick it up on eBay for a couple of quid.
You've got a hardback, haven't you? You've got a hard one.
I didn't bring it today. So recently, when we went to the Ritmail Comedy Festival, Andy Hollingworth had one of his great displays there of Rick and Young One stuff. And on display, he had the Bachelor Boys book, which I've had a paperback copy of for ages, and which I got an extra copy of because we gave it away as a prize at the quiz. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's a hardback. And I was like, Andy, what, how, when, what? Yeah. And he said, yeah, they're rarer, but you, and I was like, I went on eBay and there was a copy for like £8. But like, and since then I've not seen any other copies. So I was like, I'll fucking have that. Thank you very much.
Nice. They also didn't realise how rare it was. I've ordered Neil's Book of the Dead off eBay, not the hard. I think that is in hardback as well, but that's that again. It's rarer, isn't it? But yeah, because I hadn't had the privilege of reading Neil's Book of the Dead, so I'm looking forward to getting it.
I thought this was only available in paperback. Being the completist who obviously gets the books on my shelf, but still has yet to read most of them, I'm very pleased to have over the years acquired Book of the Dead and Aidan Edmondson stuff as well.
It's gold dust now, isn't it? Like, obviously, like you say, you regret, Matt, that you weren't young reading this and it wasn't something you had as part of the young one's idiom then.
But I also can just time travel back to a kid while reading it, and just I'm not enjoying it less now by any means.
I honestly, I think I got this. I flicked through it. I tittered at quite a few of obviously the images and like read some of the bits, and
Well, I didn't read it all in one sitting.
No,
I read
it's a lot.
I read some of it in public, and I fucking belly laughed at some bits.
For the first time. Okay.
So there's only other times I've got stuff like this is some issues of the Viz sometimes when I'd be going into work as a 20-something, and just like something catches you.
Yeah. Do you know what though? I love if someone is laughing on the train. Like I always love like hearing that because it's just nice, isn't it? But most of the time it's a podcast or something now. Yeah. Whereas previously people would have been like, oh, he's laughing at that book. Like I like the idea that you can see what's making you laugh.
Yeah, sure. And it's a lovely feeling to try and repress a laugh. Actually, it makes it feel more powerful, the laughter and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to go through some bits that stood out to me. So we're dividing this into a third. I like the Who Farted chapter with his first comic book of the thing, and it just
it's 6 panels. It's quite early on.
Bunch of them moaning about the smell, and then it's like one of those newspaper bits with
it's a little comic strip, isn't it?
Yeah, comic strip with photos.
Yeah, a bit like the things you'd see in like Dear Deirdre or something like that.
One of those things. Yeah.
In fact, things which Viz did really good piss takes of. Yeah.
And the whole premise is, who farted? You're meant to work it out by these clues, which is all nonsense. And the answer is Thatcher. Thatcher farted. The smell was written in decay.
Yeah. It's absolutely brilliant. And again, it's like that comic book style thing of like that's written upside down at the bottom of that is like the Beano and the all of those kind of like reveals are there for you to find, because you could just flick through that and miss that, couldn't you? It's like, oh no, the person who farted is Thatcher. I mean, the amount of Thatcher jokes in this book are, I mean, it deserves a fucking award on that alone. Like her or Neil are pretty much most of the punchlines. Like, it's fucking great. Right. Anyway, go on. What else? I mean, I will say just to, sorry, we can all dive in on each other's bits, right? Yeah. But I love Rick's Let's Swear. Yeah. And how he's teaching the kids how to swear.
Yeah,
and,
that feels
remember, all you need is a hyphen. And Thatcher is one, and then it becomes Thatcher. Like later on, like it's and they're so stupid, aren't they? Like so many people attribute things like the thick of it for like daft swearing or like, trying to think up like putting incongruous words together, and then that makes an even worse swear word. But this is done in such a juvenile way, poo hole, gas leak pants, toilet trousers, farty breath, knob face, jumbo jobby. And that language that I think Ben has said, that was kind of how Rick and him talk to each other.
Farty pants.
To make a kind of personal joke become language that then the whole nation picks up. Like, I think that really summarizes that for me. It's like, those jokes and that stupid language is how they would like pick on each other and be childish with it, and that became a language of a generation.
The bits that were always the most memorable to me, and these are three bits from the first third, which is your third, Matt, were always the bits of Rick Mayall's face, because he was always pulling such an expressive face. This book is such a good opportunity for Rick to put his expressions. There's one which is a full page, I guess, advert for Matey bath foam. The gag here being that if you use enough of it, you create enough bubbles, you can wank under the bath, and your mum can come in and she won't know what's happening. And the picture is Rick in a bathtub pulling at what I can only call is the Rick face.
The pervy Rick face.
And also, this is an early Rick face as well.
Yeah.
And I think this is the image most shared from the whole book.
I agree.
Seen that.
This is the one you see.
And there's just like soap suds, or at least you hope it's soap suds, spilling over the side of a grotty bath.
Then I've got
on the wrong way.
The one I talked. No, it's just not plumbed in. the tap's not plumbed in because they're in a studio. That's why.
That's amazing.
We can see that it's not plumbed in at the back.
Rick, you didn't need to actually get naked in the bathtub. I do.
You didn't have to start wanking, Rick. We can get soap suds.
There's this brilliant spot the difference. 4 panels. It's each one is a picture of Rick and Vivian, and obviously all the pictures are different. In one of them, there's the bollock grabbing. Then one, there's Viv is lifting Rick up above his head. Rick is doing that. The thing that you see Richie do to Mark Williams in Bottom, which is, I'm going to pinch your arm.
Yeah.
Don't you ever forget it. My name is Richard Richard.
And he does that a few times. One of his go-to things, isn't it?
And my final one of a Rick picture from this third is Rick on the toilet, which is now, Matt, do you remember why you asked me why I call the sun the snur?
It's from this.
It is from this, yeah.
Would you say snut or snoo?
Snoo. Oh, I say snur.
I say snoo.
Okay.
I'd say snur.
So it's a mock-up of the
Is it you?
It's a mock-up of the snoo front page with Rick sat on the toilet in front of what looks like a big pile of rubble with the headline "Gotcha, Thatcher." Anarchist Rick in PM Poo-Coo, which is such a tabloidy headline.
That's a payoff to something in that article. He talks about knocking down the things. So they're my two favourite bits in the whole book. There's a letter page, Dear Guys, where the premise is write a letter to us and we'll answer it in character.
Agony aunt kind of thing, isn't it? Yeah.
And so it's the kind of things you expect at the beginning. Dear Neil, my girlfriend's just left me and I'm a bit depressed, blah, blah, blah. Dear Rick, I think I'm going mad, I'm unhappy. Da, da, da. And then a few in, there's final demands from the electricity bill. That's gone into the letter pages and is treated as if it's one of the letters. I think it's a really good deconstruction of that bit.
It's superb, isn't it? They're signing off as Trotsky, Vader, and just Mike Person, isn't it? His surname is Person because it's the cool person.
Yeah.
And just, pay up now.
You get the final letter, which is written, obviously, as the lights are going out because the words start to spill across the page. Dear Lecky Groovers, this is Neil writing this, isn't it? Dear Lecky Groovers, Power, look, I'm sorry, but bread is very tight right now. How about if we tried this? I've got 8 new p in the dope emergency fund, and I can let you have, say, 4p. Then if I lay a real heavy scrounging and responsibility trip on the other guys, I might raise, oh no, the lights have gone, as the words disappear off the page.
And that is something that is obviously played with but that typeface and to mess around with that is part of the joy of reading this book, isn't it? It's like there's so many little surprises,
only
scribbles.
Do that in a book.
There's all ink blotches all over it. It's
like
just
a diary sort of found. Like it feels like it has been made by them.
Interestingly, you notice there's no dirt on the cover. There's no
there's on mine.
I do absolutely.
There is on mine, but
some wank stains on yours.
Genuinely, they came like this, and I thought it was part of the design, but it is actual just coffee stains and things from my.
Matt's copy does actually have grub on it.
Well, I mean, we haven't even mentioned the cover, really, have we? But if anyone hasn't seen it, it's a really brilliant double play of you've got Rick, Vivian, and Mike and Neil obviously on the front, doing a little sideways look. On the back, you've got the bottoms of their legs.
So you
and then
open it
in
up.
the hard back, in both of them, if you open the cover, It reveals that Vivian's got the word twat up above at the back of Rick's head, so
Yeah.
he can't see it. And Rick's got a cosmopolitan stuffed into the back of his pants.
so you
Do you
got
know
the
what? What's
So great.
doubly great about that is when you look at the front cover, you see their faces. You look at that and you go, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." You look at the inside cover. You can see, as you said, Vivian A is flicking the V's with one arm, with one hand.
So it's in reverse of the same image, you used to say.
It's shooting behind them at the backs of their heads and their backs. And in the other hand, he's holding up the twat against Rick's head. So then I go, hang on, let me just check the front cover. Oh, wait, hang on, you can kind of see the paper is there behind him. Yeah, so they've done that for consistency. I like that.
It's
I like that
absolutely
commitment to
the
it.
detail to it. And I don't think I've ever noticed the "You Are Dead" at the bottom of Vivian's jacket on the back, actually.
Oh, yeah, because you notice very metal, don't you?
Yeah. You
And
Are Dead.
it's nice that Rick has a cosmopolitan in his back pocket.
So good, the detail, isn't it?
Right, now my very favourite bit, this feels like apart from an episode of The Young Ones, where a bit in Lav Games, a Rick-centric bit, where he's talking about how funny and fun he is. And I'm going to read this bit out. This does feel like it's from an episode, and you can hear Rick's voice in this. I do just about anything to make people laugh. Anything at all. I just don't care. The other day, don't ask me why, we're all sitting in the living room, and all of a sudden, I leapt up and shouted, "Look out, I'm Duran Duran record." And I sat on the record player and started singing Reflex in a really stupid voice. It was so funny. Everybody thought so. Well, some of the guys didn't quite get it, but Neil was watching. It was pretty tricky keeping a straight face on too, I can tell you, especially at the prong in the middle and the turntable sticking right up my bot, made my eyes quite watery and left a really nasty bruise. But all the guys didn't know what to say. I finished the song and went up to my bedroom in complete silence. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely Rick. I mean, you have got him doing those sort of things. Like, oh, I made this great joke the other day, and no one laughed, but everyone thought I was great. You know,
you can picture that playing out in an episode of The Young Ones, a bit like and then we take our clothes off and wriggle in the set.
Exactly that mentality, isn't it?
The falling foul of anyone finding you.
Oh God, that's awkward. You've gone too far.
I like it. Begins in the same manner of everyone shut up, listen to me. Yeah.
It's everyone ignoring the petulant child, isn't it? The one vying for attention, and nobody is. But he's interpreting it as it was completely brilliant because he's not in any way letting their reactions stop him from being himself.
Just that even Vivian didn't go, "Oh my God, that's stupid," and beat him up. It was just silent, and they all like, "Fucking hell, what have you done?"
Let him stick the prong up his arse. And just let him carry on. Eddie does that with Richie quite a bit, isn't it? It's kind of like, especially when like Hedgehog and Spudgun come round, it's like, oh, just leave her, like just ignore.
I've just turned to a page here in your section, Matt. Neil's 10 Commandments. I like the fact that they've gone to the effort of sitting down to write these 10 Commandments in the manner that Neil would write them, such as "Thou shalt not slam my head in the fridge door." As you say, they've covered up 2 of them with useful household hints. But what they've done is they've written over it in someone's handwriting. Oh, well, it's Viv.
Yeah.
Don't bother with this bit. Signed, Viv.
Yeah.
Because when you do read underneath it, it's mostly Neil complaining about Vivian's behaviour, isn't it? It's like all of it is him having a go at basically Vivian demanding food and smashing up his stuff and putting his head in the fridge door, scratching his Grateful Dead records and setting fire to my record player for a joke. It's so well put through. I would love to know what 9 and 10 were, because 9 is just never eat your and you can't see what it says.
Yeah.
But it's just all of it is so much
based
fun.
on how close the number 10 is underneath that. Never eat your something must only be a one-liner.
Yeah, exactly. And then was there a number 10, or did they just run out of ideas?
Yeah.
They were like, I'll just stick something over it.
Hey, number 10 was the best one, and you've covered it up with useful household hints.
It's quite funny if Neil couldn't think of 10. Actually, if it was blank at the end, just sort of like
I can't find it. I don't know if it's in my section or not, but I remember it as there's 100 things to do with a frying pan or something like that.
1001. It's 1001 because it is that you can
whack your
little brother around the head with a frying
1,000
pan
times
and then fry an egg.
Yeah,
is the second.
The first one is do that 1,000 times. Second one, fry an egg. Yes.
Yeah. It's very, very good. And actually, first time frying pans kind of referenced in Young Ones kind of genre, right?
Yeah,
they don't really get the frying pans out, do they, in any of the Young Ones eps?
No, they do not. There's
it's all
cricket bats
and setting fire to the oven and blowing it up and exploding buses, but no frying pans.
Quite a lot of lists.
What a shit that series.
Like 8 foolproof ways to get detention. Number 1, go up to the detention list and write your name on the bottom. Brilliant.
It's so. I mean, you could just sit here and analyze every single, because pretty much every other line or even word in this book is a is a really well-crafted joke. Like, you're either setting up and revealing something unexpected, or you're playing into the idea entirely. It's all just so well
I'd say
crafted.
the only bits I don't like are the fake plays, and you don't find them particularly
Oh, what,
that
the Trotsky
funny.
one?
Yeah,
Oh,
do you
I
like
love the
them?
Russian
Yeah.
Revolution one. I think that might be in your bit, Paul.
That is.
If you actually read through it all, that, and the fact Cliff Richard turns up, and it's Lenin and Trotsky, and then it's this punchline that Hitler and Stalin have a baby, and it's Mrs. Thatcher.
Do you know what?
Like, it's so...
I was right because my first
It's written by Rick, right? Isn't it? Yeah.
Because my first impression of these bits were from when I read them when I was younger. I never got them, so like, I can appreciate the humour of add oil to vodka, add a lighted match, it explodes.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I'm like, I don't really know who Trotsky, Stalin, Lenin is, or that sort of thing.
Well, this is it. It's educational, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, okay. It's that, and I love that. I mean, just got to give a shout out while we're talking about it. The R's are the wrong way around. That's what Russian is on the Russian Revolution play. I mean, it's not like my favorite bit or anything, but it's a really brilliant bit of Rick singing off the page. I would wager that this was Ben Elton. Like, obviously, I know they will have all had a hand across it, but this feels like very, very something Ben would have put together, and Rick would definitely have had eyes off, and obviously Lisa. But I think it feels like, let's do the Russian Revolution as a play as Rick's written it.
There are bits. When was it in?
Like Rah Rah Rasputin, Boney M, copyright, and all.
All right, you're winning me round.
After the ways to get detention, you've got a bit on exchange visits and how to get out of exchange visits, and the options are leave home, kill parent/teacher, kill yourself, start a war with the country you're destined for, eat 12 bars of X-Lax a day before you're due to leave. When I read that for the read for this, I was put in mind of, it's Blackadder. 3 options: kill Bob, never. Then the second one, kill yourself. And the third, kill everyone in the whole world. And I'm reading that going, Ben Elton did that. Yeah.
Well, it's that rule of 3 that's
point.
just fantastically exaggerated and ridiculous, isn't it? The cheating at the exam one is great. The photos to go with it are brilliant.
Oh, yeah, he draws it on his knob.
That's it. This is where Rick does get really rude, and he's like, "This is absolutely Rick." I think this is Rick Mail who has written
this. That feels more Rick Mail and
is.
Richie than Rick the student, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's where again you've got inside Rick the student's head. It's like, quickly write all the swotty cheat stuff onto the knob, and then this kind of like doesn't work for girls, but of course with a bit of cooperation it can be. Remember, guys, this could be the only time in your lives when you hear a girlie say, "Can I see your knob?" Like, absolutely. I mean, just fantastic.
The page opposite that has the scumbag college exam for medicine, which Vivian took. When I first read this as a younger person, I didn't know the song Ace of Spades or the words to it.
Ah, okay.
So I'm reading this, and it's like, describe how the overuse of antibiotics led to the emergence of the supervirus. And Vivian's answer is, if you like to gamble, baby, I'm your man. You win some, lose some. It's all the same to me. The ace of spades, the ace of spades, the ace of spades, the ace of spades. That's the way I like it, baby. I don't want to live forever. Now, I found that funny because if you've never heard the song before, it just seems like such a random
gibberish
answer. So and that in itself makes it funny. But if you know the song, it then becomes even funnier, So
this shows why they scored so low in their exams, I think. And also goes up to disprove the theory that he'd now be a consultant or anything. I don't think he would have ever passed his exams, really, this attitude.
I hope so. I hope he did.
I don't know.
What, Vivian?
Yeah.
I mean, no. I mean, you've got to think probably not, if they were all basically bottom in the whole world. I love that Neil's method is to write it all on one lentil. Copying from Mike's idea of on a pizza or poppadom or whatever. And it's just, I mean, again, it's just they've thought through to the very end of like, what's the escalation here? What's going to be the most stupid thing that Neil would want to write on? And it's like, obviously a lentil. And then he's like, but it would have to be a giant lentil. Like, it's not going to work otherwise.
And if you see teacher coming, what do you do with it?
Soak it in water for a night, boil it and eat it.
Yeah.
It's
just such good. It's just such a good gag, isn't it?
So first of all, soak it for a night. Well, hang on.
The teacher's coming.
Yes.
Now, I love the setup for things in such as great ways to get his attention. Right. One of them is basically you get a bucket of crabs, put it under the deputy head's chair, and then when he's about to speak, yell, "Look out, everyone! The deputy head's got crabs." So you'd think, oh, this is how you're getting detention because you're yelling he's got crabs. But no, he'll then say, he'll go red and you say, "No, sir, under your chair." And he then says, "Thank you, boy. I could have been in for a nasty shock. I must reward you. Is there anything you would like?" Say, "Yes, sir. Could I have a detention, please?"
It's great, isn't it? Like, again, it's that pull, going in one direction, and then it takes you somewhere unexpected. And they just were masters of doing that. I mean, you think like this was what, 1983 or 1984? They're writing it obviously after the first or the second series. Like, they're only in there like mid-20s at most.
Yeah.
And they know characterization, they know like setup and punch, like obviously like recognition, laughter, all of it is just dripping with it, but from the point of view of the characters. And that's why to just go back, like, I cannot forgive "Oh No, Not Them," because there is no characterization and leaning into that in any of the script or the writing, is there? So that's why that's so terrible. Here you have this incredibly varied, like, it's not all repetitive. I think you said before, it could have been a cash grab. They could have literally just been like, you know what, throw in a photo shoot, we'll do a photo shoot of some stupid stuff, and maybe we'll have a little bit of how to grow a garden in your underpants, and a few bits that would just be really simple to write.
It's what they wanted us to do for the bottom book, actually, isn't it?
Well, it was like, why don't you just do an A to Z of really the obvious things about bottom, but this has got such a rich amount of work that's gone into it. They really cared. They wanted to write a book that the kids were going to enjoy reading and get all the jokes. Like, it's not just a photo book, it's got so much to it. And I'm really glad that I've actually studied it while I'm alone in the house, because I hadn't read it cover to cover, I have to say. Like, I certainly didn't remember it. It's so nice to revisit it during this series.
Could have very well been just all the stuff that didn't quite make it into the show, right? And it is that, if you want to be technical.
Some of it is, but some of it has to be specifically written because they wanted to write a book, because some of this just wouldn't play. The ideas are there to be written on the page, basically. They're not.
This works so well because it is a companion piece, very much so, and just all the work is done for you for the 12 episodes already. So you go in knowing them very well.
Sorry.
I really like which one.
I'm just like, okay, this is just a tiny. Okay, I've got something. It'll only fill up a small box in one page. Okay, 5 words people often think are dirty: fish paste, masticate, conservative, dinty, shit.
Yeah.
It's really great, isn't it? And masticate, to be honest, when you hear someone say it, you're kind of like, but say it right.
Also, I like
mastication.
They put conservative in there as well. A little bit of politics.
Yeah.
Well, there's lots
plenty of Thatcher-esque stuff
of that. But yeah, again, like, that is on how to clean your house, and it's literally method 1, make Neil do it. Method 2, move. Method 3, try not to think about it. Method 4, do it tomorrow. Like, it's just stupid, some of it.
Well, you know what? I thought Mike wouldn't be left-leaning, and there's a bit when he's talking about the great parties. All parties are great except for the Conservative Party.
Right.
Like, that doesn't feel like a Mike thing.
Okay.
No, you know what I mean?
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay, coming out of his voice. Yeah, he wouldn't have an opinion on it, would he? Or he wouldn't commit. He wouldn't commit to vocalizing an opinion unless there was something in it for him.
I don't think it's completely incongruous with Mike's character, but yeah, he's never come out and been like, I'm anti-Tory. So I know what you're saying, but I think they would be like, that's
fits
a dull
with the rest
party.
of the book.
I think you'd agree that the Conservative Party is a dull party.
Maybe,
it's not a party you want to join or go to,
So, something else here, as a kid, that you can appreciate. You less get the whole old Neil's handy recipes are all lentils based, but here's a picture of Neil, and Viv has come along and written, "Hello, I am a turd," in a speech bubble, and then he's put at the end of all of Neil's recipes, lentils sick. This is in Viv's handwriting. Lentil sick. Ingredients: lentils and fingers. Method: eat the lentils and stick your fingers down your throat.
It's like to basically like sabotage his list, right?
Yeah.
What I like about that one is it starts off with Neil saying, "Oh, you're going to think it's all just recipes about boring recipes about lentils." Well, nothing could be further from the truth. Lentils aren't boring, and then and they are all lentil.
And then it's lentils and cheese, lentils on toast, lentils a la duck orange, and lentils. The ingredient of which is lentils, the method of which is put in mouth, chew, and swallow.
I mean, I feel like we're veering dangerously into just, this is like we just done a bottom podcast and just read out the script. But this is obviously a book that you have to analyse.
You missed the legendary line. You didn't cover that bit.
Well, that's it. Right. We can't read all of it out.
So the depression bit, I like that we briefly skirted on it. Just to quote it properly, obviously it's Neil. When I was a teenager, right, I was only seriously depressed twice. once for 4 years and then once for 5. and the in-between bit, as I say, was, I was happy for 8 minutes in between
then there's a reveal that he was actually sold an orange Tic Tac.
Yes, he
actually
thought it was LSD, and he's like documented it, where he's like, well, 50p a tab, it's well done, my first electric cool trip, hang on, this is an orange Tic Tac.
So he's only thought thought he was happy for 8 minutes.
Yeah.
It's really, really great. And I think, I'm quite staggered that neither of you have picked out the history of pop pages.
I don't like them
from
bits.
The first two. Do you not?
Nah.
So this is definitely Rick.
Yeah.
The first one, I mean, I know what you mean in terms of you don't like them, in that some of them are a bit maybe long-winded, but I love the actual just gag behind it, which is essentially in the history of pop part 1, the story of Cliff Richard. Elvis modelled himself on Cliff, even though Elvis died in 1977, just a year after Cliff invented. Basically, it's like that he invented the blues, he invented rock and roll, and each joke on this is that, basically Cliff invented every genre of music as you go through. So in this one, it's the 60s. It's basically that it's like John Lennon's on stage thanking his Auntie Nellie for his trousers. And it's like the kids are thinking, who is Auntie Nellie? What did John mean? What were the trousers? And it's basically just like, the trousers were Woodstock itself, and Auntie Nellie was Cliff Richard, the man who made it all possible by inventing pop music. And then there's another double joke that John's Auntie Nellie was in the front of the crowd and smiled at the knitted trousers that she'd made for him, looking lovely in the lights. All of it is brilliant, and they all end on, and that's how it happened. And it's basically just Rick writing, obviously, the history of pop, and it all builds to, it's Cliff to thank for even electro pop, because he was there. He invented the first computer. He was there in the Second World War with the Enigma machine. Like there. Honestly,
move over Alan Turing.
So there's
really good.
The plays and stuff is a little bit of intro that says, this is written by me when I was in school, blah 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 stuff. But things like Lenin's True Stories. Who, in the reality of this book, is writing this bit? What is that
on the letters page? Just fancy that. It's just that's just an absolute kind of piss take about the kind of things you'll find in either magazines or newspapers.
Yes, like filling up a page. Essentially,
weird,
it's like,
true.
I did this thing. It's really it's a mundane problem where someone don't understand that bins are taken out different times, different places, and it just ends with Lennon going, spooky, eh? Like pointless. Very much the Viz vibe.
It's that idea of like a really shit letter's been written in, but that's all they've got to put in this week, so they've had to. And then that picture that's like toilet. From someone in Kettering, and it's like, let's hope dogs never learn to read, readers. And it's just so stupid. Like a fat man was told to lose weight by his wife, and
and it also doesn't feel
I love
anything.
Just fancy that, speech bubble coming out of Trotsky's mouth, like
none of it has anything to do with Lenin at all.
Exactly. Leon Trotsky is it? But
I'm thinking Lenin. I'm confusing the people.
No, Leon Trotsky.
Right.
Have you not read this book? Have you not read?
Well, I've dyslexically read it.
I mean, most of my knowledge of communism does come from Rick, the student. So, moving into the third wedge of this book, I'm going to try and not. I could literally say every single bloody page, to be honest. I will have to say the Leaves from the Scrapbook is brilliant, because it's essentially that the housemates are all collecting bits from the newspapers in which they've been reported on, right?
Yes.
So you've got Neil's turned up to a protest. There's a picture of Neil with like "no way" and the yin yang symbol, doing the fight the power.
And then he was asked, well, what is it that you're protesting? He'd forgotten.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, he slunk away, and he said he'd be back when he remembered what had been worrying him. Then you've got this incredible description of Vivian in a car crash. In which his Ford Anglia went apparently out of control. In the passenger seat was Vivian Bastard, the hamster's owner. The hamster was driving, and apparently Mr. Bastard was so inebriated he had asked the hamster to drive. And then it's basically that the hamster was found to contain almost 3 times more vodka than the hamster limit, and this morning magistrates banned it from driving for a year. Just so
the
stupid.
Hamster limit of that exists.
And then in a similar vein to your one about, obviously Rick playing into like not getting that other people hate him, is like he's done a poetry night, he's reviewed the poetry night, and he said everyone else was basically complete crap, and his was of such beauty and significance that the whole audience had to leave almost immediately to get some fresh air, and they didn't have the courage to return because of the power of his work. It's so good. This is the Prince William claim from Mike. I was actually thinking before when we mentioned it, like, was Harry not even born at this point? Like Harry, I think, is a year or so younger than me.
Yeah,
So in
maybe-
1983, 84, he wouldn't exist yet, would he, Prince
I
Harry?
think, born in 86.
So this actually exists before all the jokes about Diana having an affair and Harry not being the kid, right? This is about Prince William. So foreshadowing, everyone.
Do you know, I've never read it as bastard.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It's because it's with an
Yeah, I
E.
know
It's
it is
spelled
with
wrong.
an E, yeah.
Bastard.
But
One thing
bastard.
I did want to say, this book definitely reveals that Neil's surname is Pye.
Well,
Vivian's surname is Bastard, and we don't get a surname for Rick ever.
and Mike the cool person
And
is
Mike
one
the
word.
cool person. Yeah.
Well, I think Mrs. Pye are credited Neil's parents, actually.
in the show. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, we're going to have to race on through because I just want to really, I think the last thing I want to flag is the poem to Felicity Kendall from Rick. And I think, can I read this out?
With all the work that it's had done as well.
Yeah,
May I read this out? Because this
yeah.
is a standout, absolute amazing.
I will just say,
piece of
sorry,
book.
I won't step on you reading out, but it's good that in this you see Rick's workings before you
Yes.
get the actual
Yeah.
thing.
So it starts with the finished piece. So it's an open poem to Felicity Kendall, which I love the open poem, which loads of people say open letter now, don't they? But an open poem
Never
to
heard of an
Felicity
open
Kendall
poem before.
From an admirer, brackets, called Rick. So he's trying to be anonymous and then immediately isn't anonymous. All right, okay, so. Oh, Felicity, Felicity, you fill me with electricity, but that does not mean that you are shocking. Oh no, you are nice, like sugar and spice, like a proper girlie ought to be, even though I am sure you have radical views on the subject of equal opportunities. Your second name is Kendall, which, if you jumble up all the letters and take some away and add some others, makes I love you. I adored you as the star of TV's The Good Life, and I'm not being sexist, but you'd make a good wife. How about it, Philly? And that is the end of the final version of Rick's brilliant poem about Felicity Kendall. And then you've got, as you say, Paul, all his workings out beforehand, the first drafts and things that he's kept
Really
and got rid of.
happy with the electricity.
Felicity, you fill me with electricity, like putting your knob in a plug socket, except you haven't got one. A knob, that is. I'm sure you have a plug socket. Or how would you play your brilliant Shape Up and Dance aerobics records? You wouldn't. That's how. Then it's all crossed out with doesn't rhyme written next to it.
But and above shocking, better word. And then he's got all the rhymes with Felicity: electricity, synchronicity, police, pig, bacon, right? And these are all callbacks to another bit where he's taught people how to write poetry. So it's always like pig and rhyming stuff. Brilliant stuff in there. And then like good with 5 ticks next to it. He's just put shocking in. And then I really love your timeless silken loveliness is so smashing. I want to wander through it, gorgeously naked, unashamed of the spots on my bottom. And then that's bracketed out and save for novel. So he's planning to write a novel about Felicity Kendall as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely
He's
fantastic.
Probably is the most optimistic of the characters. Maybe Mike, but no, like Mike's too cool to sing his own phrases as
Rick's
much.
Endless optimism is there, isn't it? In the same way that we said about Kevin Turvey, there's this purity there, isn't there? Even though he's like filthy minded, because at the end of this draft, it's how about a quick bonk ? Is how he ended it. And he's put too raunchy. So the way he's got round that is how about it, Philly? To soften it for being too raunchy. And anyway, we could just read out all of this book. If anyone listening hasn't actually been able to get their hands on a copy and don't know what we're on about, please do find it. And if you can, please look at the entertainment page and the quick crosswords. And for the love of God, tell me what the answers are to the second across.
What I love that about
I've filled out 1 and 2, 1 and 3, sorry, and I cannot.
What's the clue? Sorry.
So you've got common term for horrid, smelly, noisy things that comes out of trousers. 4 words. So that 4 letters.
Fart.
I think that's fart, right?
Yeah.
But then number 2. I mean, I'm going overboard with this. But number 2 has same effect on you as horrid, smelly, noisy thing that comes out of your trousers. 3 and 8. I cannot for the life of me figure that one out. Another term for horrid, smelly, noisy thing that comes out of your trousers. 4, and that's either, I would say, I don't know, trump or pump, or like, I don't know, like,
right.
What else would you, like, I've honestly, it's been driving me, Matt, I was doing this last night.
Well, the reason that you don't know the answers are because the answers listed at the bottom.
That's the great joke.
The joke is, the answers are you, then think. These are the answers. Well, they're not farty breath, so work it out yourself. Thatcher.
Anyway, I'm going to stop going on about the crossword bit. But if anyone out there has ever spent the time and really figured out, I know the last one is definitely the toilet and then Thatcher. For 3, that really works. Like, where does Rick go to read Cosmopolitan, the toilet, and then who crawled out of the toilet to lead the Conservative Party? It's
Thatcher.
They work. So I'm like, well, they must all work. But it's driving me a bit mad. Please do write in if you've ever figured out the Rick crosswords. Any other things we want to flag?
Oh, I like that they talk about a bit of student life in the Know Your Enemy number 43, people you have to share your fridge with. Type A, Mr. Hey, look, it's only a sausage.
Yeah.
The bastard who eats your sausage and then in an infuriatingly reasonable, soft-spoken tone will say, look, if it really means that much to you, I'll buy you some more. But you know it's fucking midnight and you're hungry now. Of course, you're more than welcome to help yourself to this guy's stuff, but who wants an empty tube of Kraft cheese spread? I mean, anyone who's shared a house as a student knows.
Do you know what I was thinking? I bet you really identify with that. Because everyone will identify with that, but fuck me, is it annoying when someone's eating your food, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because when we previously talked about toilet roll and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, there is, I can't just keep saying it, there's so many Rich gags in every page of this. Like Rick's being popular and the transcript of him
the
running
Batman
up
joke.
to a
The
guy in
Batman
the
joke.
street.
Yeah, that's really good. And then he gets Neil to pretend to be someone else.
Yeah, and it's all there in the transcript that it's just him making Neil pretend to be someone real. And I will also just say the Why I Want to Marry Prince Andrew page by Vivian is absolutely standout. Obviously, Edu gets the AIDS arse in that one because he's an attractive young model who's going out with Prince Andrew. And then I did want to flag Koo Stark, who's there as like an ex of Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
I'm not jealous of Vivian, says jilted Koo Stark. Yeah. She was Sabrina Mulholland-Jones in the Time Slides episode of Red Dwarf. So I was like, oh, who's Koo Stark? I was like, I know that face. So yeah, anyway, that was just a little tidbit that I wanted to put in. It's brilliant. And obviously the acknowledgements also thank Paul Jackson.
Yeah.
So you do wonder whether he had a hand across this actually.
Well, they thank the cast. So thanks to Ada Edwards and Nigel Planer, Christopher Ryan, especially thanks to Paul Jackson, presumably because he got the whole thing on TV in the first place. Well,
yeah, obviously.
And then some thanks at the bottom for Jen Casarotto. So that's presumably the agent. Casarotto is an agent. Ord Powell was Rick's agent. Don't know Viv Riley, Robin Stubbs, Ian Hatfield, Kate, don't know, Roland Rivron, and Alexi, obviously. Alexi and Linda. Linda is Alexi's wife, right?
There we go. That'll be it. They did do some contributions. But yeah, it's a wonderful tome. I'm glad we've had a chance to dive into it.
If you've not got this book or read this book, get it because it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah. If you're a Young Ones fan and you've not read it, you are missing out.
Yes.
I missed out fucking years for this, and it just...
So when did you...
I got bought this as a gift. One of my mates I found... Yeah.
Okay.
One of my mates I bought you a present and I sent it to you. I'm like, what on earth's this? Yeah. And then it was when we were writing the book.
Yeah.
In fact.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It came out. And that's when I first started looking at it. And I hadn't read it all until... doing this. There was a few bits I didn't like. Also, a bit huge standout bit for me is the ludicrous nature of the interview with David Bowie.
Yeah.
I think that concept.
And the picture of Neil in the crowd and Bowie's just singing on stage, basically, and he's shouting
Let's
the
dance.
question.
Well, don't change the subject.
Quite apart from the ludicrousness of the fact that Neil thinking he's interviewing Bowie is when Vivian appears and goes, sorry, there's a queue of 18,000 for the toilet. And someone's taken a book in.
Yeah.
It's, just joyful. And I would agree, Matt, in that I didn't come to this till much later, but then actually the real deep dive has been in the last few days. And I've really enjoyed actually getting to pour over it. And the entire series on the Young Ones has been really lovely to do for that very reason. It's more material from Rick, Viv, Mike and Neil.
Do you know, so much of my life has been focused on Bottom in the last few years and stuff that I was overlooking the Young Ones a bit. And we all say that, our favourite's the Bottom this, bottom that.
Do you know,
I really,
do you know what's
tied.
really weird though? The last few years, because we've been studying Bottom so intensely, I did say that I was like, I don't think I've stuck on an episode of Bottom just to enjoy it for quite a long time. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that because we've obviously been looking at the Young Ones, but. It is interesting to have to, study it in that kind of not have a wank, as in analyse it. It brings an extra level of appreciation, which I never really realised at school when we were over-analysing Shakespeare. But you've got to know it first, haven't you? You've got to love it first.
Quick question about this. At the end of every Young Ones episode, the silhouettes of 5 people appear on the boards.
Mm.
On this book, there's 4 people on the front cover. Do you reckon Alexi said, I don't want to be involved with this? It's a sellout or something like that? Or do you reckon...
Oh, he's like a bit right on working class,
he's
isn't he?
thanked at the end, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, maybe there was some kind of blessing given or whatever. But yeah, you're right, actually. Maybe he wouldn't want to... But then if you were that principled, you wouldn't do any of your, you'd never earn any money. I think, in all honesty, I think the prolificness of the material that's come out has been about these 4 characters, and Belowski as a character isn't well-rounded enough to have had a load. It's interesting there isn't at least a landlord's guide to
the Lexi family tree. That would have worked.
You could have had any of that, but again, they weren't just setting out with it; they were actually having it written.
Or the Belowski family tree.
Yeah, but anyway, there we go. So thank you for listening, everyone. It's been hopefully an enjoyable thing for you guys to delve through as well. Are we at the end of our Young Ones series yet? No, we're going to do Comic Relief.
Yes.
Next time, aren't we?
Comic Relief, Live-In Doll, whole thing with Cliff.
We'll see you next time, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.